Andrea, it's time to hop back into the pond and start with talking about The Way Home. I definitely have thoughts going into this one, and then we're going to switch over and do a little more Spencer Sisters, which I have some happy thoughts. So, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Well, this is Eric.
This is Andrea.
And this is Hallmark Mysteries
and more.
This podcast was created by fans for fans and is not affiliated with or sponsored by Hallmark or the Hallmark channel.
Okay, well, this is an exciting week. We have multiple episodes coming out. Obviously, we're going to talking about The Way Home and Spencer Sisters, but we have a conversation with the one, the only, Victor Webster, getting ready for the Reality Bites.
Yes. Well, and we have Dylan this week, too.
And
so we have a
Dylan.
lot coming out this week. So
and
clear your schedule, everyone.
Dylan was so long, it's being broken into a two-part episode. So we'll get one of Dylan's this week and then one of Dylan's, the other one next week. So a lot of Dylan. And then just got news that we have another interview, I think, coming up. And my mind is blown. I'll admit.
I'm very excited.
We've talked to people.
It's not Brooke.
It's not Brooke. I've been like, whatever, had him, like when we talked to Dylan, talked to Sergio, like I am like, wow, I'm in awe of these people. But this one coming up, fingers crossed that it all goes down. It appears going to. This is for me completely next level. It's exciting stuff. Exciting.
I know, and I told him, I was like, my schedule is just a lot. I have a very full plate, so I usually cannot make it on most of these interviews. And I love Vic Webster, and unfortunately, I could not make it onto that interview either. My schedule is a lot. Got a lot of work stuff, which is not a bad thing. So,
and then those little things that you have that run around the house.
My humans, I know that's also tricky because I can't record with a 2-year-old. Like my older, he could easily sit in the other room and entertain himself for an hour, but obviously a 2-year-old is not going to do that. So
I have it easier since neither of mine live at home anymore. So they do not interrupt the podcast.
Oh, well, let's kind of dive into The Way Home because this is one that we both last week really enjoyed the episode. So it's called Reeling in the Years. Dell celebrates a birthday as the rest of the Landry family and Elliot take a step back to reassess their investigations. Now, this is halfway point. We're halfway through the season of The Way Home as well as the Spencer Sisters. So I was really coming in thinking I'm going to love it. And this is going in the direction I'm hoping it's going. And then, I guess we'll start with what I liked. So let me start there. Great Grandma Fern was back. So of course, big fan of hers. She only had that one scene again. So that was a bummer. But another thing I really liked about this episode, I really liked Elliot's ex-wife. I really liked Emma. I thought that they have clearly more chemistry there between Elliot and Emma versus Elliot and Kat there. Another highlight was Sam. Now, this is probably a bad thing, and Brady. So this, as I just was reading through my highlights, I'm like, they're all side characters. They're none of the main characters. So this is probably a problematic thing for myself, as I didn't connect those dots until I'm telling you them. But those were my highlights of some of the B characters who I really like. I really enjoy Brady. I'm really starting to like Sam. The other thing that I'm really enjoying, surprisingly, I really like Jacob. I know most people don't like him, but
they don't?
I don't think so.
I don't think
many enjoy. Okay. Well, I think the young boy Jacob. I don't think people are really as connected to the older Jacob. I really love him, and I love his just even watching him with a scene, which we'll talk about when we get to our favorites, standout scene. But his facial expressions, I find it a journey to go on. Now, I will also say there was a scene when him and Kat went back to the 1800s. Did you notice his running? Because again, I watched this episode twice. And so the first time I'm like, oh, there's something kind of funny. So I don't know if he has like a bad leg or hip, but he kind of like looked like he was kind of dragging the back leg a little bit after they ran a couple steps. It was an
Yeah.
interesting I was like, huh. And again, I'm a movement person, like that's my main job. And so I'm noticing this and I'm like, huh, I wonder if he has an injury of some sort. So again, I'm paying attention to this.
It,
So it's probably that's what I like about this episode. Those were the things that stood out.
very interesting you say that because I have comment about that a little later.
Oh, okay. Well, what did you like?
I liked Emma as well. Miranda. I looked her up, Miranda Millar. Thinking, oh, has she been in any other Hallmark stuff? I Going through it, her IMDb, it does not look like she has, but I agree. I thought she was fantastic. A wonderful fresh air that came into an episode that, like I told you last week, okay, I'm going to give the writers a little credit. I'm going to try to be patient. And all that goodwill was so tested this week.
Same.
I my note really is Emma.
Mhm.
What I liked, it was simple. One word. I wish I
So
could
they didn't
go.
pull either of us back in.
No,
Ugh.
it was not only that, it was a huge step back to me. Like maybe the worst episode of the season for me.
Mm,
Like
mm.
it really, and maybe it's because once again I got a little bit of hope there, and then it just crashed back. But
Well, anything else you liked, or should we
I
move
said
on to what we
I had
didn't?
one word,
Okay.
Emma. I hope she sticks
Well,
around.
same.
So, well, I'll take it back. Her playing I guess the violin, right? Not
We'll circle back there, Eric. We'll circle
okay.
back to that one.
Like that was a little scene, and what's her name? Alice singing. That was I liked that. They were talented.
Well, let's hop into what we didn't like because I have a list. My first one, I hate the yelling and Dell yelling at Alice. Oh, that one was just like that was hard because I don't understand what she was mad about. Like, I'm sorry, Alice is just trying to say there's more than just you in this world. And what is, Dell is what in her late 60s, 70s? Did they say her age?
No, but yeah, somewhere
Around
around there.
there, and you're now just realizing there's more than just you in this world, which then shows you where maybe Kat gets it from. Because it was like that was a really tough scene. I'm like, I just can't support Dell whatsoever in this yelling scene because Alice is pointing
She
out something that a teenager is seeing that an adult is not. That's not
right.
good.
She actually, let's just do math. In 74, Dell comes in and she's like 16, 17 then, right?
Yep.
So 50 years ago. So yeah, put her in late 60s.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's
I had that same
that's
exact one.
awful.
Dell's outburst with Alice was
So
just
bad.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
It was one of those contrived
Oh,
conflicts that made no sense.
no.
No sense.
No. And then for me, it made me be like, okay, I really am starting to not like Dell, unfortunately, because
I'm there with you.
I think she just is coming off as a very bitter woman right now, and I don't know why. Another one, Kat and Elliot clearly are into other people. Like at this point, like what are they even doing together? Like Elliot's seems to be still into Emma, and Kat is clearly into Thomas. Like, what are we doing? Like, I think they were brought in to be like, oh, these two belong together. But honestly, I'm just being like, no, these two don't belong together at all.
Well,
What are
they
we
did
thinking?
explain the proposal was just
That was so
but he did
bad.
have the ring.
Yeah, but that is so bad. Like if that was also in my notes. I thought that was gross. I'm sorry. If I get proposed to because like my husband sees his ex there and gets like, "Oh, it's clearly we're never going to be a thing. Let me propose to this person in front of me." That is so gross. Like I'm disturbed. And if I was Emma, I would run the other way because that is absolutely disgusting. Like I am your second choice and you got angry and threw a fit and decided to propose to me that night. So for me, that scene did not work whatsoever. Honestly, most of this episode really didn't work for me. I didn't like that we went to the 70s, present day, 1800s. It was too much. It was too all over the place. It was hard for us to get really bought into any storyline because it kept taking us here. Now we're going to go here. Now we're going to go here. And then me looking at what's coming up next, I feel like they keep playing us with these previews. Now I know you don't see the previews, but they're really not true. Like, how, usually you see a
Right.
preview and you're like, they actually show you a preview. This one, they like piece together little things so it makes you think you're going in one direction. And then it completely shifts when you actually watch the episode. You're like, that wasn't even what you promised us, like you clipped scenes together to make it look like this thing is happening, but in actuality, we got this episode, which was not good.
So they're probably doing that to try to make you on your
Want
edge
to
of your
come back.
seat, like, right? But then it sounds like for you, like, oh, okay, I'm on the edge of the seat, or I'm interested in seeing this, but then it doesn't deliver. So, like you said, it doesn't deliver on the promise, which is worse.
Yes, yes. And so that's why this one really fell flat for me, because I didn't like that. Again, I thought that the Brady, because they kind of teased that scene out at the restaurant with Kat there, and then I didn't think that was gonna be the thing where that proposal happened, because Brady and Kat were sitting there and Elliot saw them. Like, again, it seemed like that was gonna be future. The way they clipped it together and spliced it, saying like Kat being like, "This is what drove us apart," and then it had Thomas, and then they showed that scene of them in the restaurant. So it looked like, again, a bad editing choice if that's what I thought was going to happen, which I did. It clearly didn't deliver. So I have no hope now for next week, because I'm really just disappointed in that. What about you? What didn't you like?
I have a list, so sit back, get comfortable, enjoy
Same
your
as me.
your coffee.
Oh,
But I've said it before, I'll say it again. Kat is a complete narcissist. Her character, I, I don't know, maybe we should do a poll if people like Kat or not,
yeah.
because I just find her such an unlikable person. The music comes on, like I said, I liked when they were singing and playing the fiddle or violin, whatever, and it was going. But then all of a sudden she's like, "Oh, this song is about me." I'm hopping in right in there, ripping the music out and being like stopping it all because it's me, 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 right? Which I also have the question, like they have the sheet music, which is from, I'm guessing, when they went back and they got it when she was
Well,
back in
she got
time.
it. She had it in the
But
70s. Like,
right.
she got the book from them. So why didn't you look at it then?
But my point is she went back in time, got it. So she had to go through the pond. So wouldn't it have been like soaked and ruined? I don't think it
Dell
would.
had a copy. I think this was Dell's
Oh, this
copy.
was
She also had
Dell's.
a copy. Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking like it somehow
No,
survived the time.
no, Dell
Okay.
had a copy.
We'll take that off. That's not what was on my list. I was just saying it was there. Um, so one of the things we talked about before is the interactions. Alice met Dell in a very significant event that, first of all, I will say the whole Ouija board thing to me was absolutely ridiculous. And it made the show, instead of being like this suspenseful, sophisticated time travel movie, it made it just comical, where I basically was laughing at it. Right. But Alice meets Dell at this thing. And if, I'm sorry, but if you're part of this crazy Ouija thing where things are going crazy, you're going to remember who you were at that event
Mhm.
with, I think. And so just Alice, once again, interacting with another person who later in life has no idea. So Dell should know who Alice is, or be like all of a sudden like, oh, wait a minute, like put pieces together. So it just, it's the thing, and I'm trying to give the writers credit and be patient, but it just seems silly. Colton, once again, should know. Everybody should know. We already talked about the outburst being ridiculous, but the other thing I'll say is, okay, hey, we got to go back to this 1816 because of this event that happened. Which, by the way, I looked up and it
It
was
really did
real.
happen. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it is.
looked it up
That
too. I was like,
I I'll take it
did
back.
this
Maybe
really
I'll put
happen?
that in the category. Hey, what's good? I found it. That's an interesting bit of
That
history that it
is.
did cause this crazy
Yeah.
climate issue. But I thought the pond took you where the pond
Correct.
needed you to go,
Correct.
not
I
where
thought
you
the
jump in the
same
pond and
thing.
say, "Hey,
Yes.
I need to go to 1816 because this is there and I want to know what's happened." So that totally contradicts everything we've
Yep.
been told about the pond, that you don't control where you, in fact, that's how people have ended up in, like, what ended up in the 70s, right? Alice, she didn't mean to go there, but the pond said you need to go there. So that to me is just a big oversight that that just really, as I'm teetering, pushed me even more over the edge.
Well, my thoughts, I have some further thoughts on that because I actually did other research as well. So I was thinking, obviously Hallmark Plus, this was supposed to be on Hallmark Plus, and I'm thinking
Right.
because they have the tarot, they have the Ouija board, we have some racier, sexy scenes. I'm thinking that's why they put it there. And so then I looked up the Ouija board because I was like, well, where did this come from? And let me know more history there. And it was actually kind of shocking. So it was created in the 1800s. And not until 1972 did people think it was bad. Like people of all religion, I mean, obviously they were very religious back in the 1800s, 1900s, and they used it to connect to the dead and to past people, like, hey, my partner went off to World War One, and connect in if they didn't see him again. So it became bad after the movie The Exorcist came because I had
Ah,
never seen it, but because I guess the young kid got taken over by a spirit. So then Catholic churches went out to tell people you should not be messing with these. And so it actually was the Catholic Church in the 70s, 1972, that it started to be bad. And then they started to burn the Ouija boards, even though, again, in the 1800s, nobody thought anything of it because it's not obviously a spirit. It is actually, and then I read more into it and they said it's really interesting psychology experiment if you do that because it's a group think. So if your hands are all on there, it goes where the group kind of moves it because obviously there's no spirit doing it. It's you, whether you're most likely your subconscious, you're kind of all moving it to whatever the group needs to hear, which is very much like I was like, when I was in fourth grade, we played like Bloody Mary in the bathroom. We shut off the lights, had the mirror. We all were holding on to hands, and you're supposed to conjure up stuff. And let me tell you, that gave me nightmares for a really long time. So I don't recommend it. But the friend that was holding onto my hand dropped my hand and started walking around us. And I screamed. We all screamed. We all ran out of the bathroom. We all got in big trouble because, of course, a teacher heard this and was like, "What is everyone doing?" But like that's kind of the same thing, the same premise of it's not real, like, but you can make it real by the group think. So I just found that to be that again, those were my two fascinating things was researching to the
no,
1800s and being like, oh, that's a real event. And oh, let me learn more about Ouija boards and why did they become bad? And that was my big aha from this episode.
I literally just found that description of the Ouija board history 1,000 times more fascinating than I found the episode of The Way Home. I'm like, this is cool. This is
I
cool.
know. And that was from the Smithsonian. So it was like
Had,
a
so
legit
you never
website.
done the Ouija board stuff when
I
you were
have
young?
no, because we always were scared of them. I was born in 84. So like they
Okay.
were like we never had
Well,
I
I
think
was
my
born in
mom had one.
'67.
I
Wasn't
think
like
my
I.
mom did have one growing up, but um at some point I think she was like, "Oh, they're evil." And so we never had one and I never messed with one because I was too scared. And then after the Bloody Mary thing in 4th grade,
Right.
no touching any of that.
So here you are with your friends playing Bloody Mary in the school bathroom while I'm throwing darts at my friend in fourth grade. Maybe we weren't the
Oh,
best kids in fourth grade.
I know, jeez. Well, that kind of leads, I guess you've already mentioned this scene. This was my standout scene was the Alice, the Emma, the Elliot, the musical performance. I really enjoyed that. That's also where the guy, I can't remember his name, the coil one who owns coils in the 70s. He, folk music, that the history that was popular. That's how things got passed down because they did it orally. And so for me, that song was like a haunting song, and I loved it. And again, until Kat interrupted, which last week she interrupted my favorite scene as well with her outburst. So at some
Because she's
point,
a
you're kind of like,
narcissist.
right, you're kind of like, why do you keep interrupting these awesome moments and then throw yourself in there? So that was my scene. What about you?
Jasper, by the way.
Jasper, yes.
Hey, I have to go with that because that's, I guess, the only scene that
Remember
or when they were talking about the
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 1800s?
volcano.
Yeah.
And once again, because of the historic element it made me while the show was still playing, get on my iPad and what did this really happen? Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so like I said, to me, this episode was just, it was painfully bad for me.
Well, what are we hoping is coming or not in future episodes? I guess for me, the one thing that I would say I liked that Alice and Max Goodwin, is that her future, spouse or partner? Is that the parents of Casey, when they kept referencing the eyes? I guess that's that was intriguing. At least that was the only thing that I'm left somewhat intrigued by. So, what about you?
That's what I've said before.
Yeah.
That's the one character that I'm interested in. I'm not interested in the 1800s. Now maybe if Thomas comes back or whatever, maybe, but for the most part, I'm not even really interested in the 1700 story. I
The
don't know.
70s?
Yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
this 1970s. It's okay, but not super interesting for me. I want to see Casey. That's I'm putting all my eggs in that basket. That's
Oh
going to be
boy.
interesting.
Oh boy. Well, final thoughts for me again. I've kind of talked about it as I think it was just too much 70s, present day, 1800s, jumping all around. Jacob was also that's where I'm looking forward to seeing more Jacob now that I'm invested in his acting choices. I find him intriguing. Um, but that's about all I'm holding on to hope because between him and Kat when they're on screen, I much prefer, Jacob and what is he doing? So
Well, I'm just like time travel is I've talked about it before. That's my favorite trope in Hallmark. And so but just give me some consistency in the
yeah.
rules of what it is. It's made believe as far as I know, so it can be whatever you want it to be, but just establish your rules and stick to them. That's all I ask for it, and it does not seem like we get that. And if we do, and you get a reveal at the end, oh great! But you've annoyed me all the way through that. I didn't enjoy the travel, but I will say, and so we've talked about it a little bit. I did a little poll on the on Instagram there asking, do you think there's chemistry between Elliot and Kat? People disagree with me. They do. 58-42 that there is chemistry between the two of them. So
I disagree. I voted no twice from both my accounts.
so it's really
So
like
a couple of
59
those votes
40
are mine.
59 41. Well, you know what?
Sorry.
I didn't vote, so you voted for
Oh,
me.
there we go.
So there we go. So that's okay. We knew how we felt.
Oh,
Should we talk about something that I hope for you at least was a better time?
it wasn't a better time, but we'll
Um,
talk about it. The Spencer sisters.
the squishy nose, squinched or whatever
I
is kind
know
of
this one wasn't. This is not a good. I was not. I mean, I wasn't looking forward to recording today, and it's not. Yeah, the decorators debacle. Darby and Victoria team up with Victoria's excitable friend Rory to investigate what he is sure was an attempt on his life. So what we liked, I told you before, I was like, I have like one sentence for each of these. For me, what I liked, Rory, that was my highlight. He was great. So for me, that was my my main highlight and only highlight of this episode. And I watched it
seriously.
twice. Yeah, this was probably my least favorite of
Wow,
the series so far. So yeah, I didn't necessarily enjoy this one a ton. I mean, it wasn't. No, I didn't enjoy it. I could try to sugarcoat it, but I this one wasn't my favorite.
interesting
I mean, you're
because
gonna have that. There's 10 episodes. Of course, you're gonna have one that you're like, I didn't really like that one. Murder She
okay,
Wrote. I have episodes of Murder She Wrote I don't like. Doesn't mean I
yeah,
don't like the series. It's just
right,
this
right.
episode
I got you. I got you.
wasn't my fave.
I guess that's just because for me, the last one I found the mystery that the deep fake kind of
And I
like
loved that one. Yeah.
right, which you loved.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, I thought with the whole daughter,
Yeah.
going through
I
and,
just
and
told you I didn't like
poisoning.
the fighting. There was too
I,
much
I, I
mother
found that
daughter
I
bad
found that like
relationship.
really intriguing and a great
No,
twist.
I did not.
Um, so I enjoyed it. But so going back to what you were saying before, you were talking about Jacob running.
Hmm.
One of the things when I watch these shows that it's a weird thing that draws me in is when someone who's out supposedly being, hey, I'm a runner, when they actually look like they can run. And Stacy Barber, she comes in with her. She looks like she actually does run, as opposed to sometimes you see people who are like, "Oh, I missed, runner or whatever," and they clearly have never run further than like to the bathroom from the living room, right? And she had it. It's one of the Malco. How do you say it? The Malcola, Macora, whatever files. The one that I really like over there on
Yeah, I don't know that one.
on, or it's on
I thought we were
was on
trying to say
Acorn and
Macaulay
now Prime.
Culkin.
But
Not who you're
that
saying.
is one of the things I love. Miranda, she runs throughout it, but that's like part of her character. But she clearly is athletic. Or when you see her chasing down bad guy, can do it. And Stacy, same thing. There was earlier when she was doing it, the first episode when she's still on the police force, and then it just reminded me here. So it's a weird thing, but it goes so far for me. I'm like, don't have the character run if you have someone who's completely unathletic, right? So,
That's what you liked about this episode?
but no, that was just a little. It started
Side note.
out. So
Okay. Okay.
I have notes for here. I have things that I liked.
Okay.
I really enjoyed. I thought the mystery. Like, we'll get into it, I guess, but just the whole aspect. I found it a ton of fun. I had Rory on my list too. Like the side characters of the series are just. They're all great. I love them all. So like they just keep coming in and they all have their own little thing that they bring. But the great thing about it is they all bring something
Mm.
to the show. So yes, it's about, Victoria and Darby, but it just gives all the fabric. So just really, really, really loved that. Um, the it also, and I'll get into it when we talk about our scene, but I think I really wish there was some Bryn Martell books out there that I could read because Bryn Martell sounds like a hilarious, fun sleuth to follow. So that would have been great. The other thing I'll say, Caitlin Lieb, who that plays Lindsay, who is
Mm.
Lucas's fiance. Great scene there about the hey, step back, and I thought they handled it really well. Like actually, what would happen in real life, how you would deal with it, right? But I'm like, wait, there's something about her. Something. Put your little hat back on or your little time travel hat. Go back to crossword abracadabra, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the one with the magic. And Bianca, who's the magician assistant who he thinks the
Mm-hmm.
suspect, that's who she is.
I'm
She's
actually okay.
Bianca
Okay. Next
from
time I see her on
Abracadabra.
cool.
So cause I was like, something, I think I know her. And she
Yeah.
looks totally different, I think, in there. But so I looked
Yeah.
her up and there we go.
Huh. Anything else that you liked?
That's enough.
Okay.
I thought it was a
Well,
good episode.
okay. For me, what I didn't like, I kind of alluded to this, but the mother daughter, there's just bad dynamics. Obviously, Darby and Victoria, still that relationship. It's there. And then we have the actual person who gets murdered, person who tried attempted murder, and then the attempted murderer. That whole mother daughter bad relationship. Oh gosh. So for me, that's why I'm like, after I just complained about it last episode, and then this episode, I'm like, this is exactly why I didn't like this. I mean, I still I like the show, but I don't like that dynamic still. It's still too volatile for me.
I
I
thought
think
it was
it
toned
needs
down
less
this
light.
one though from
It is, but
the
it's still
last
there.
one.
I mean, it's definitely still there, and it's
Oh yeah.
I just don't like to see that, I guess, on screen. I mean, I feel, and that's why probably the Dell cat Alice, like, that's a lot of just, I feel like violence towards each other and just like, come on, like, do we have to talk so harshly? Ugh, it's not fun.
Yeah, but
Not
I
fun.
guess the thing is, for me, I find they do it in a comedic way versus
Yeah, but it's
the
masking. For to
the
me, I'm like, oh, that all of that is just
okay.
masking. Like there's a
Okay.
hint of everything underneath. I
Yeah.
just having that, I'm having seen enough dynamics, and obviously, like my mom and I, like we don't have a rough dynamic like that. But like that's where I'm like, I don't like it. I mean, have we went through times like that? Yes, and I don't like it. I just don't. I feel like that's like a trigger button for me of just like it touches a nerve. I don't like it. I don't like to see that. I've seen my mom and her mom how she kind of treated my mom, which then made a whole bunch of sense to me as why my mom parented me such in a different way. So I feel like I can see just generational trauma, and I don't like you have to be the stop point. And so that's for me. I'm like I feel like my mom was trying to stop that, and so
Alright.
that is a trigger point, I think. So for me, that's what I see when I watch this, and I'm like, I don't like it. I don't like it.
I enjoy because I find it for witty banter of what
Yes.
what it is. So I can see what you're talking about because yes, under things like that, there always is a serious aspect to it. But I do think that they have been addressing the one aspect of it where it's okay, it's this, but at the end of the day, I got you. I'm proud
Yeah.
of you. I love you. So they do deal with that, and they just sort of
Do it in their way.
they
Yes.
do it in their way. Yeah.
Yep.
So the thing I didn't like about it was, and it's kind of what we've talked about in some Hallmark mysteries too, where the bad guy is okay. We had the scene, and then it kind of goes away, and you don't really get too much of that, and then all of a sudden it comes back, and it's there. I would have liked to see a little more of that character through the episode, so
Mm.
I could
Mm.
just get a little more on the radar, get a little more there, put some more red herring in, but have her, you know, a little more involved in the storyline because they dealt with all those other things and had so much fun with it in the investigation, but they just didn't really go that until they did. So that was sort of the thing just for me.
So then the mystery itself, I thought it was fine. Like I would have never thought that because again, just as you alluded to, there wasn't much for us to go on to make it to that conclusion. So for me, like it was good. I liked the twist. I liked that, oh, there was something inside of the cat and that they figured
Right.
that out. So I think there were some elements there that I enjoyed. Because again, I wouldn't have connected those dots to where we got to. So what about you?
So for me, I realized because we started out and I was saying, oh, I kind of think I need murderers. And
Hmm.
this obviously, what's the crime here? Well, it turns
Mm.
into one other thing, but the crime that they're investigating is Rory gets run off the street
Hmm.
and is, hysterical about it. Which,
Hmm.
even when they start the case, Darby's like, "Really? This is what we're gonna do?" So, but I'm realizing I'm just enjoying it because I love the mystery of just the two of them going through and solving it and going through their clues. You talked about the cat. That was my favorite scene of the episode because once again it
Breaking the
was
cat.
the breaking the cat. Yeah, when they broke the cat, they got it. But just Rory in there when he starts rambling and then he starts doing all the it's like what does Bryn Martell say about crime? And then he starts rambling off all the different things that Bryn says. Sometimes the wrong man is the right answer. A woman's best weapon is a black dress. Like all these sort of things. And that's like I said, what made me want to read the book. So I just find the mystery fun. Um, the thing I didn't get about the actual what it turned into the real mystery was why didn't she just kill her? Like why was it this slow thing? It seems like she could have poisoned her fast rather than dragging it out. But whatever.
Having watched Dateline, Eric, sometimes there's a lot of that people do attempt to do that. They poison, and sometimes it takes longer than they expect. That is what I've
All right.
learned from Dateline.
I did love, by the way, the when it Lucas and Darby come in and they rescue her, and they're like, Lucas is like, "Hey, you gotta help and give the shot," and how they did. I thought that was a fun scene with the two of them working together after they're not supposed to spend time together, and here they are saving
Well,
lives
standout
together.
scene and performance, is that yours?
Yes.
Okay. As you said that one, I was like, ooh, that could have totally been mine. Though,
Wait, my standout was the breaking the cat.
oh, that was your standout.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, good. Then mine's not going to seem much different than that. I was like, my standout was the nurse putting the camera in the cat. That was the standout scene for me because that kind of pieced together what we're doing here in the first place. We're like, oh, okay, this is why we are solving this mystery. But I also would agree with you with Lucas and Darby and that scene. I enjoyed, and I also like now I feel bad for saying a few episodes ago about like, oh, I want to see them get back together. Oh, it's a muddy situation. I don't know. Now I'm
Lindsay's so
also
nice.
I know. That's
She's
where like
so
this
nice.
is now another muddy situation that I don't know if I like. I get some ick factors on that. And so now I have a mother-daughter relationship and then I have this like will they won't they stay together? Oh, Eric, I don't know. My moral compass is feeling distraught watching these. That is where I'm at with it.
Well, you do. What's the next one? Like the
The wine.
winemaker's
Yeah, the
woe or
wine
something
one.
like
I
that.
haven't watched it yet.
you'll be able to get your moral compass back in line. So
Okay, great. Because I'm a little all over it. After this
and
episode, I did not feel compelled to watch the next one. I was like,
I,
I'm gonna pause and I'm just gonna. Where are we going with this?
I have a feeling you're going to like the next one.
Okay. Okay. Well, any final thoughts on this episode? For me, it wasn't my favorite. But now I guess I'm looking forward to watching this next one.
I think you're done. I think you're going to
Okay.
like it.
Okay.
Mine is I'm enjoying it. Like I say, I do think that there's an arc to the mother-daughter where it's softening a little
Did you
bit.
finish the series? You said you were going to.
So,
Did you?
no, I've gotten sidetracked with binging a couple other things, and I'm getting Castle. I've been posting a little bit about Castle. Castle
I still haven't seen it.
is like you just watch them, and I think it's like Psych, maybe Monk too, but how you see all these Hallmark people who have these roles, like
Oh yeah, yeah.
Tori DeVito was just in the one I watched
Love her. Love her.
yesterday. So, and it's like not everyone, but
A
there's
lot
a
of them.
series of Hallmark people, like, and seeing Brennan Elliott as the
Oh, yeah.
bad guy, like he's a bad dude
Oh,
in
yeah.
this one, and it's just like that. Brennan Elliott, I think, by the way, is a great actor, and it sort of
Cedar
shows
Cove, like Cedar
right,
Cove, he's like the bad guy over there. So,
which yeah, he can go both
oh yeah, yeah.
both ways with his acting and stuff. So, but no, for me, I'm just enjoying it, and I'm feeling I guess a relationship instead of a character arc, a relationship arc between mother-daughter that is getting closer and closer. It does, and on the mission, whatever little power we have, trying to get Spencer Sisters 2 out there, but I just want to see them keep progressing, keep progressing.
Well, what if High Potential on ABC or Hulu? So that one is the one I cut my Hulu again, and High Potential obviously is back, and so I haven't watched any of the ones that have come back. So I think I'm gonna get Hulu again so I can finish those because I love that show so much, and I know they have a season 2 coming. And so I was thinking, would I rather have a High Potential season 2 or Spencer Sisters? Personally, I would rather watch High Potential. Like if you gave me these two, that's what I personally would pick. What would you pick?
I'd totally
Spencer
Spencer
Sisters?
Sisters.
Yeah. So
Totally.
that's where I'm like, I figured I was like, I prefer that one to this one. So it's interesting.
It's funny how
A different style of
it
I mean,
is
I feel like they're different. They are
it is
different.
because for you, like the mother-daughter thing causes this little stress in you as you watch it.
Yeah.
There for me, the high anxiety of her brashness and
And I love it.
just kind of, I don't want to say rudeness, but just lack of filter to everyone around her, just to me tends to exhaust
That's
me a
funny.
little bit, right? So it's funny how the one for you triggers and this one for me triggers. So
Oh, there you go. So whichever one you agree with, there is your sign of which show you might like. So I
there we
love
go.
it. Now I gotta watch Castle though to see. I don't know if I would like. I'm assuming I'd probably like it. So
I I really do think you will. It's just fun,
that's on ABC.
and
It would probably be on Hulu, right?
it is Hulu,
Okay,
and
great. See,
they're
I'll binge that when I get it again.
it's the same thing as for this, the mystery here in your murder. They're yes, they have the mystery, but it's their investigation of it, but it's 45-minute type episodes or whatever it is. So there's no drag to them at all. And the dynamic, you definitely see the gourmet detective of why people compare the two, even how Dylan compared the two. There's definitely that dynamic between them.
Love it. All right, Eric, it's been a pleasure. We'll get to
It
talk
is.
about a new mystery with the Hannah Swenson next week. So that's exciting.
Yes. Very excited for it. Are you?
Oh, I'm super. I watching the preview. Yes, this looks right up my alley of a
Same here.
movie plot that I would enjoy.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I love me my cooking shows, so there we go.
I love me some reality TV thrown into
And
there.
once again, we'll go into our time machine again. When we talked to Allie, whatever it was a year ago, or not a year
Allison
ago,
Sweeney.
but a while ago,
Mhm.
she said, because I said, "Oh, I'm making the Hannah Swenson blueberries,"
Oh yeah.
Because I had that recipe, and she's like, "Oh, interesting you say that," and I was like, "All right, whatever." And then so when I watched what was it? I forget what the last one was called.
I can see the movie poster. No, was
But
it One Bad Apple? Was that the last one or
yeah,
two?
One Bad Apple. I was like, "Where's the blueberries?" And I didn't get it, but now I get it. So,
Aw.
all right.
All right.
Until next time.
Bye.
Goodbye.